sentence patterns taught to students when they are just starting to learn English. Now, what most new English learners don't know is that textbooks, or at least most of them, teach old school English. So they end up repeating those phrases even when they move on to the advanced level of English learning. What we need to understand is that these phrases become redundant. As times change, new phrases come about, and so those old English textbooks actually become outdated. They are just meant to help you understand words and sentences at the foundation level. So in today's lesson, I'm going to show you what old school English phrases are and why you should not use them anymore. We're going to talk about how to get rid of them. But don't worry, I will also give you some new alternative phrases that you can use instead of the ones you should stop using. So please, stay tuned with me, Kat, to find out what some of these phrases are and what needs to be cut out of your vocabulary. The first old school phrase is, "Hello, how are you?" Now there's practically no one in this world who has not heard this phrase. It's a very common greeting that we all are taught to use, and as little children we even learn them. We also learn to use these when we have just begun our careers. The only problem is that it's overused. This question makes the speaker sound robotic, bored, and quite unnatural. So once you get your basic English skills, it's time that you work on changing the way you greet people. Instead of saying, "Hello, how are you?" you could try and make it feel a little bit more casual and turn it into another question, like, "Hello, how are you doing today?" Being more specific. "Hello, how are you doing this morning?" These longer questions sound more specific and make the listeners seem like you care about what the answer is going to be. Alternatively, you can change the question altogether. You could ask something more like, "Hey, how's it going?" "Hey, how you doing?" Or, "Hi there, what's up?" And of course, all of these questions will vary depending on who it is that you're talking to or depending on what the situation is. The way you speak to loved ones could be different than a more formal setting, such as being at work. But please, do yourself a favour and stop saying, "Hello, how are you?" You've got more than enough options to use and to replace this old school phrase. The next old school phrase is, "I'm fine, and you?" Now, I guess all of you have heard about this small talk. Yes, the art of making great conversation even in an ordinary environment. In places where you meet people that you don't really know or people that you hardly speak with, or it could even be co-workers around the office. Now, if your response to "Hello, how are you?" is a bleak "I'm fine, and you?" guess what? You have just killed the conversation. You suck at small talk. Do you know that if someone asks you a question about how you've been doing, you have many options to answer this? And this time, when you should elaborate on your answer, you could tell them exactly how you are or how you feel. You could say, "I'm good. I was ill, but I'm feeling much better now." Another thing you could say is, "Oh, I've been doing great. Thanks for asking. I've just come back from a trip from Bali." Or, "Oh, I'm hanging in there. It's just been a little rough lately." As you can see, these new responses kind of give away what it is that you have been doing. And that makes it more meaningful to the person that's asked you the question. It's also a good idea to add, "How about you?" after you answer to someone. These elaborate answers give the opposite person the access to ask more leading questions. And there you end up striking a nice conversation, A conversation that's meaningful and it's interesting and engaging for both people involved. The next old school phrase is, how old are you? Yes, we've all been taught that age is just a number, but it's rather sensitive one. To be honest, people get offended when you ask them their age. It's a very sensitive topic. If you really want to get an estimate of how old a person could be, for whatever reason it is, you could try asking questions that might give you a clue. So in the course of your conversation, if the person has mentioned going to college, you could say, oh, so when was it that you attended college? Or what was the date of your graduation? Or how long has it been since your graduation? These questions are a little more discreet and you could then work out their age from there. Or you could ask more interesting questions like, oh, how old were you when you got married? Or how old were you when you came to the city for the first time? Or how old were you when you moved here? These are leading questions which can give you a vague idea of what a person's age could be. However, these questions do need to be asked only if the report has been built with the person. You need to make sure that you have got a strong connection and a good relationship with that person to get such good answers from them. Don't ever make the mistake of asking, how old are you? Straight off the bat, because you know that it can really offend some people, especially if they're sensitive. Let me tell you, if you end up having a great conversation, the opposite person might just reveal their age to you, even without you having to find it. The next old school phrase is, are you from? Now here is another sensitive question. In fact, this question is not just sensitive, but it sounds more rude than the one about age. You want to know why? Well, because this is not only a question, it's also an assumption. It's like you've already made a judgment even before talking to someone about a person, and it's based on the way he or she looks or what they are wearing. And that can be downright offensive, even if you guessed its nationality right. Instead of asking that, why don't you try changing the question and asking something more like, oh, where did you grow up? Or where did you learn that language from? These questions give you a hint about where the person lived, where they grew up, and where the person is really from. And you have avoided the awkward and offensive question. The next old school phrase is, did you eat dinner? Now, this is not a great question to ask, and I'm going to tell you why. Because if the answer to your questions is no, then you'll be forced to ask them something like, would you like to get dinner together? Would you like to get lunch together? Now, obviously, I'm assuming this question was asked just out of politeness. This means that you don't intend to take that person out for lunch or for dinner. So you can stay away from that question and try asking something else or asking it in a different way. How about you try, do you always eat at around 6 p.m? Or do you always eat at around this time? Or what did you grab for breakfast or dinner today? If the situation is a formal situation, you might want to try and ask some other questions like, oh, how was your breakfast this morning? Or where did you go to get your breakfast today? Now, none of these questions require an invitation to eat together. However, when you do ask these questions and you get a no for an answer, it means that the person has not eaten. And in that case, you can ask some fallback questions like, oh, that's not too bad. You probably should have something to eat. As you can see, your questions can become a lot less awkward when you try and changing the way that you ask it. Thank you for watching. I hope that you have now learned some alternative and far better ways of asking these otherwise redundant old school questions that should go straight out of your vocabulary. Now, if you get used to asking questions in a different way, like I've showed you today, you'll start sounding like a native speaker for sure. If you've enjoyed watching today's video, then please don't forget to like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon to ensure that you are staying up to date with regular videos just like this one. If there was a particular phrase or comment that you enjoyed today, then please let us know in the comments below. This is Kat. I'll see you around soon.